Growers who are looking for that secret sauce usually are just missing something from their garden. And to help with that, we bring you the Stash Blend Premium Plant Additive. Stash Blend brings beneficial bacteria, silicon, seaweed, humic acid, and has enough macronutrition to help lower the dosages of your base feed too. Unleash your plant's true potential with Stash Blend Premium Plant Additive. Available at Growers House.
And a huge shout out to AC Infinity. AC Infinity's got a brand new bowl trimmer, and you're going to want to get your hands on this. I harvested an entire pound in just a couple hours. I didn't have a sore back. It was easy on my feet, and boy, was it fast. Don't hesitate. Go to acinfinity.com. Use promo code THESTASH15. Save a few dollars off at checkout, and thank them for being a sponsor of today's video.
Wow, it's been a week. So... we are here from the Stash Podcast with the homies.
Yeah.
And another homie, Grower Joe.
Homie and a different gromie. Yeah, man. I love it.
Yeah.
Dude, what's up? It's great to have you back on the show.
Yeah, man. Like, do these people know about, like, the crazy week that we had yet? Or is this, like, this is coming up after the fact?
This will be after the fact.
Unreal.
We came together, though, and made the most epic time. I'm sure you guys have already seen it by now.
Yeah. And it was amazing. A few months ago, we had the time of our life. It was great.
It was
wonderful. We got to hang out with some great people, talk a great conversation.
A few months ago, I was really recovering heavily during the podcast episode. It was really good, man. Micro macros, baby. So we haven't had Joe on the show in a while, and since we have, Joe has been doing all sorts of stuff. And one thing, man, for me that was really cool is seeing you out in LA and literally seeing you out in Las Vegas. You're traveling, man. You're seeing the difference from Canada and America's game, the herb market that now we're in.
Yeah, man. It changes drastically when you get over the border, man, and like just quality, man, and being able to have access to it. All the change, the rules going into the dispensaries. It's an eye opener, man. Like in Canada, I mean, well, I'm not sure if I'm speaking for P, man, but like we get access like online, man. Ship it to your door, pick it up at dispensaries, and it's like. There's a freshness to it, man. It's not like sitting on the shelves, I find, as long. Like even pre-rolls and buying bud here, it's just maybe Vegas a little different because it's nice and dry. But Canada, man, it's a game changer, man. I feel like the bud quality is a little bit better there.
Well, out here in Vegas, it seems you got to find it. And it clearly is everywhere. But, like, man, I have yet to find something at a shop that has been a hitter. Like the stuff that I haven't grabbed was like old pickles for 60 and 8th. So
we need to get you some Green Life Productions. You haven't had that yet.
Oh no, that's Steve Cantwell. Oh,
yeah, that's
you former
that's
WC
the good stuff
fighter.
out here.
Banger.
That's not the first time I heard that too. Like when we came out to the Vegas trip, we were searching for bud, right? So then we had to reach out to a homie, Eric Nugshots. He hooked us up with a bunch of stuff from the Humboldt Pheno Hunt, man. But that name got brought up a bunch, and I didn't even hear it until you said it again. So who's this fella?
Steve Cantwell.
Former WEC light heavyweight champion. Good guy.
He's got a living soil facility in Pahrump, which is right next to Las Vegas, and well known. I think they're on like that 30-something run of this in being in the same soil bed.
Oh wow!
So yeah, living soil, no till, and just crushing out there for years.
What a story too, man! Because people are really buying into that living soil now, man. The cleanliness of it, right?
We need to get him some Stash Blend for that tea, baby.
That would be nuts.
That's awesome though, and I think that's the big thing too. Is like you're getting a immediate upper hand coming in with an organic soil bed that's been growing that long. Like that's nuts. I didn't even know I thought you were gonna say 30th time running a certain cultivar.
No,
the soil,
same soil.
Like you've been growing soil like that. Like that's nuts, man. That's nuts. I think that's where we're not seeing that in this market for the most part because it's Rockwell and Athena not done properly. You can still get dank from Rockwell and Athena. I've seen it myself, but it's 9 times out of 10 it's just pretty, and big buds and test high in THC, but the terpenes, the cannabinoids just aren't there. I'm always envious when people hit up mom, a mail order mail, and they deliver him some just amazing stuff for super cheap. Like, this is wedding cake here or something, and it's just choice caregiver style fire. Now, correct me if I'm wrong.
Allegedly.
That is legacy-ish, though.
Yeah,
right?
it is.
Yeah, and so that's, I think, the big part of it, too, because in Canada, they do a lot of remediation, right, in the commercial side, so in the dispos.
Yeah, 100%. I think another thing that in Canada, too, man, is, like, outdoor here in the United States, a lot easier to grow than it would be in Canada in certain areas, right? We get a lot of cold weather and things like that, so I think a lot of us growers in that area, not me in particular, but these guys that are doing production facilities, man, I think they've been growing indoor longer. Like I think they've kind of dialed that in, and they've been playing with artificial lighting and things like that. So maybe that plays a role too. I'm not quite sure, but you know what I mean? Like the idea of it.
Humboldt County is probably refined for its outdoor.
Absolutely, man.
Probably uncomparable. Yeah, maybe some places in Europe. But.
And like the shit on all weed that I've seen in LA and Las Vegas would be crazy, man. Because I've seen some phenomenal stuff here too.
Yeah.
But
From a dispensary?
I've seen a little bit, but nothing crazy, man. We went to
the
a
stuff that
dispensary.
Dakota had smelled good.
Yeah,
That smelled really good.
and I find that it's like the outside of the bud is like there's nothing there. You really got to crack it to even get a sniff on some of this stuff here in this area in LA. And I find it's just the price is crazy, man.
Yeah.
Like I bought 3 pre-rolls, man. It was like $70, man.
And they weren't very good.
They were
Oh my
terrible.
gosh.
Man. They were
Those
terrible. And that's
Stevies?
70 American, man. So that's like
Those got left
$100.
behind.
Yeah, and we left it for the security guard. He
Yeah.
was very tickled about that.
It was trash.
Yeah. Actually, believe it or not, Northern Scrogger and I remember this very vividly. We were outside having a drink, and first of all, we're trying to find a lighter. We asked 20 people for a lighter. Not one person had a lighter. Yeah, and then
That's great. E-cigs. Everybody's got the robot dicks
everyone's
now.
got the e-cig, man. Yeah, and so we thought, kind of smell a little perfumey. So we saw a couple dishes or cups on the ledge. We just put a nice pre-roll right beside it. Security guard comes walking. He comes to hold the door for us. We're like, oh, did you grab that joint? He's like, oh, that was yours? We're like, no, it's yours. We left it for you. And he was just tickled about it, man. It was awesome. It was awesome. I just felt bad that it was a shit joint.
Well, I think a lot of pre-rolls, even out in Michigan, like there'll be a few that are good, but they just are trim most times. People sneak their trim in there. Like it's just mids. I don't know why. You think that would be your best thing. Like you don't go to a store like Costco and the samples are just dog pieces of chicken just to get you to buy the good chicken. They're like, well, these are the samples we have. It's they're dry, it's popcorn chicken, it's garbage. But if you bought the nice ones, the big popcorn chicken nugs, they fucking juicy. They're really tasty. I think you'd like them.
I find another thing in this area too, man, is like it's more like advertisement. There's more brand tied to it. Like you see all the fancy advertisement. The bottles got like the green and the purple on them. In Canada, man, there's no advertising on anything, man. You can't even see the brand name except for a little tiny thing up in the corner. It's a black label, cannabis logo on there to make sure the kids know that it's in there, and terp information only on the bag, man. Like you can't see the bud, you can't smell the bud, anything inside the dispensary. But you're getting quicker turnaround because there's not enough really to supply, so it's like not staying on the shelves as long. So I feel like you're getting a little more flavor, a little more terps. And also these growers aren't really concerned about branding, man. They're just concerned about like finding the good shit and putting it in front of our mouths so that we can enjoy it, right? So it's a little bit different of a culture, I think. Out here, I feel like they're trying to make a lot of money.
Sounds like a lot of differences. Yeah, I mean, they're definitely trying to make their money out here in Vegas in particular. I mean, it's all over billboards, like you mentioned, taxi cabs, those signs that just drive down, these trucks. There's advertisements everywhere about it, and definitely a lot different. I forget where I was going with this.
Well, where I was going to jump in is where I think the big difference in Canada and America is they don't have to sell with the brand. It's the name of the cultivar and it's the way the jar looks or the bag looks that sells here because you can't smell it. Versus in Canada, they're only going to sell because it's good smoke. So they all will know. They're like, hey, like we can't sell by a cool bag. We can't sell by a cool logo. We can't have the color psychology to make you jump to want to buy it. It literally has to be a good product. It's the only way to do it, you know? And I think that's, in America, we can sell a gimmick. You know, like Jungle Boys, cookies, all these things, they can still be top tier because they're top tier brand name. The smoke doesn't matter. Usually it's pretty decent, but it'll still be 60, 70 for an eighth because it's that name versus a no-name company. It's better quality, but not as good at packaging. 20, 25, 30.
Yeah, we've all found those things in different niches too, man. I mean, let's just transfer it over so a lot of people can relate. I mean, picking up groceries, right? Yeah, I mean, you got Kraft Dinner or you got no-name macaroni. We've all found that like special little treat there that's off-brand. That's way better than something that's on brand. You know what I'm saying? And I find like in Canada, we've got guys that are passionate about this, man. They want to be the top player. They don't care about being a brand name like the Jungle Boys or something like that. Not shit on the Jungle Boys. I mean, they've got fire. They've been doing it a long time. Respect to them. But there is a certain like, hey, we're these guys. You kind of got to buy our shit, right? So
Legacy.
Yeah. So it's nice to see that in Canada, and I've been to a lot of the dispensaries and stuff, man, and I've been to a lot of the grow facilities now that I've had the ability to travel and go visit them. And the passion inside of these facilities, man, is a lot different too. Being in one in the United States, being one in Canada, maybe it's just because I'm a Canadian boy and I'm trying to shout out my boys, but there's like a cleanliness to it, man, and a pride to it that I didn't see at the ones that I was here at in LA or in Vegas, right? So it should be interesting to see where this heads in years if they do change the scheduling and things go completely legal, and to see if like that will change things and maybe some of the money will get out of the game. But I don't think that's going anywhere anytime soon.
So, I mean, the states want money, you know. I mean, taxes. I mean, look at the home grow laws here. Well, first of all, it's different in every state, right? Just about every state is different in the U.S., Canada. Blankets per province, is that right? It's kind of like, okay, it's broken down per province. But they, here in Vegas, you can't even grow as a home grower recreational unless you're greater than 25 miles away from a dispensary. So they want you to go in, spend money, right? The restricted grow laws. Now, if you're a medical patient and they don't have the strain or cultivar that is for your medical condition, you can grow it. Kind of like the loophole there. But if you're a rec just over 21 and you're within 25 miles of a dispensary, you got to buy it. You can't grow it on your own. So there is that thing where the states want to get money for taxes and they put laws around it in order to get money for it, you know.
Well, there's so many dispensaries. That's a screwed up law. Like 25 miles?
Yeah, you have to be in one of the rural
You can't
areas
afford it here. Like
of the state.
we went to, this will be the fourth dispo technically, I think, in Vegas that we've seen or been to. And just looking again at the price, like who can afford that? That's why most people who are heavy consumers like myself, we grow because we're picky, but also because we couldn't just afford to blow back like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, so to restrict somebody based on like monopolizing the plant is crazy to me. That should be something that the government intervenes in to stop, to say, whoa, how is this allowed versus intervening for the opposite side. Like clearly some of these dispos have enough money to lobby to the local government to change. That's crazy.
And it's frustrating. It's different in every state, right? You look at Colorado. They've got, a 6-plant limit or whatever, and some can be in flowering, some have to be in veg, or, so every single state is different. It makes it so difficult, right? It's like, we've talked about this in previous episodes where it's like, do we want the feds involved to kind of oversee it and make it even across the states, or is that going to do more harm than good? That's a pretty big debate there, but man, it's crazy going state to state and just seeing everything different. It just messes everything up.
Well, and you Canadian boys, you guys are the case study. You have the federal legalization, but then you still have the Manitobans who can't grow.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. And it's a disservice to have one system and the other system. There needs to be a hybrid of both systems. Good product deserves to be talked about, deserves to be advertised, deserves to be in front of you. I think that's what distinguishes between good and bad. If it's all black and white, then what's what? I talk to growers in Canada, and there's like no conversation about marketing, like none. And I tell them I go to the States and it's the exact opposite. And they're like, well, we can't market, we can't do this, we have regulations, we got stipulations, we can't post this, we can't do that. Sounds like a lot of excuses to me. There are companies that are doing it, Canopy Growth, and I understand not every company is going to be able to do what Canopy's doing because they're going to have resources. But the reality is that you have to allow these companies to be able to talk about themselves so that customers know what they're getting. Downside down here is that you're just inundated with brands and nothing good.
Yeah, there's no balance.
And the restrictions are like only the half of it, man. I mean, realistically, we need to change the whole the purchase process. Everything else says cultivated, tomatoes, fucking strawberries, potatoes. You get the chance to touch, feel, look, sniff if you want, man. And like, this is a plant grown the same way as all these vegetables. We have to go into a dispensary, talk to somebody behind the counter that has no fucking idea what they're really doing. Not because of their fault, but they're just not educated enough. They're talking about THC percentage, man. We don't even get to see this bud, smell it, taste it, or anything. We got to purchase it for a higher value than what we would from a dealer or somebody black market like we used to. And we get to sniff it, feel it, hear the story about how it was grown, man. And that's the passion that we all fucking fell in love with weed. Yeah. They took it away from us. Yeah. So the restrictions are kind of half of it. We need to change the whole fucking process of this, man, to make it enjoyable for everybody coming in.
How often are you getting a bag from the dispo and you're just like, what's the ratio of you're disappointed versus you're happy about it?
I mean, for me, man, I'm growing all my own stuff now, as you know.
Yeah.
But like, if I want like a little bit of a treat, or I'm on my way home from the grocery store and I want to pick up a blunt, or I want to pick up a nice little flower that I'm not growing, or I hear of something hot that's in the market, I'm going there maybe like once or twice a month, man, just for kind of like that little treat. Kind of like you get a burger at McDonald's to treat yourself, right? So, and just getting me kind of used to what these guys are looking at, because they're obviously going to find some fire, and I'm searching it every day too. We've got this one guy from Churro Cannabis. Shout out to Churro Cannabis. This guy's growing stuff that we're growing, man, like the Titanimal. He's growing another strain called Donair Kush. And these are all strains that are coming from guys that are in our community, man, like the End Houses, the Square One Genetics, guys that we're all running inside of this small Instagram, YouTube community. And they're finding some stuff and bringing it to the Canadian market for sale, right? So I'm like, this is interesting. So those are the things I'm searching for to bring them back to kind of what I am. But the regular buyer, man, they're in there all the time. Like, these dispensaries are turning. My wife actually works in one of them locally, and so I get to see that side of things too. So it's kind of interesting, man. She sees a lot of people that don't enjoy the experience. Now, she's educated because she's watching people like us and people like the Northern Scrogger and anybody. I mean, everybody out there, right? So she kind of understands the plan a bit more. She's trying to educate people. Like, let's start looking at terps. What do you like about this? Which one did you like last time? What terps were in that? Let's match it up to another one to give you a try, and so on and so forth. So, yeah, a couple times a month, man, maybe max.
Yeah, I think, like, if I'm looking, it's crazy because, like, I'll be trying to, like, pheno hunt, so to speak, and I'll try to look for that cultivar at a different store, like, locally, and 9 times out of 10, I don't know why, because I'm like, it's not the same pheno, or it's probably renamed. But there's a few brands that do really well, like Doghouse out in Michigan. They've always got some real tasty, real fire stuff, and when they get it, they'll mention who the seed company is. They're not just going to call it the name. So I'm like, oh, okay, this one in particular is from this breeder, so that at least I have an idea what I'm looking for. And, like, I like variety, but I like a certain particular category of flavor. And a lot of times when I'm hunting for stuff like that, dispos do not carry that. They just don't have it. So
They
I
don't
usually
really seem to be after that. They seem to be after high THC, bag appeal.
And if anything, for terps, sweet dessert, like, you got to look at even like the beer market nowadays. Yeah, there's a lot of craft beers, but the Celsius are everywhere. And the bud, we've got the weed turned into seltzers. Like, it's a bunch of light, fruity, mild. You know what I'm saying? Don't get you too lit, but it's like enough of it will tear you up. You know? And so a bunch of seltzer weed out there. It's really like what it is, though, man. It's
That's
like,
true.
It's all really like it's a little strawberry-ish or a little sweet, but it's like nothing too crazy. And then you taste it, you're like, yeah, a little something there, a little after something, you know, just like a White Claw or something.
Barely any effects.
Yeah, and then barely any effects unless you pound them back. You know, like
One thing I think is neat to point out, man, is like, we're online a lot, all of us, right? And the people that are watching this, right? And one thing that you don't see is you don't see a whole lot of people open up a dispensary going, ooh, look at that bud, man. That's gorgeous, right? Now, it's a bad thing because, like, they can't put top buds in there because then you got people complaining about stems in them and they're paying for stems and so on and so forth. So they break these buds up into smaller forms, right? So we don't get to experience that, too. So you kind of got to give some of these growers a little bit of a leeway too, because they're kind of in a corner there because they can't really give you the top quality stuff.
Not just that, though. Then you've got the gatekeeper, which is going to be the stores, the dispensaries, and they're going to be dictating a lot of the time for that shelf life because they up the price more. How they store it isn't going to be ideal unless it's prepackaged in a jar. But, like, if it's bulk, like in Michigan, we've got bulk, so you can go and get it in a big giant sea vault or in a different container and open it up and you can check it out. But think about how many times they open that up and open it up and open it up. Eventually it gets stale and dry and shaky, and those terpenes are just dying off, you know? That's the big issue is from the grow, it may be fire, but then it makes its way through the supply chain, and it just, by the time it makes it to your hand, it's stale and old, and it's sat on that shelf since, you know, last February.
Now, when you guys are buying bulk, are you buying this mostly at dispensaries, or you guys got online options for this and stuff?
No, unless you do like or Dutchy, Leafly also has one. There's no, basically there's no online ordering system other than like, hey, reserve it, let me come pick it up and pay at the store. You know what I'm saying? Like, you guys, with it being federally legal, you can have it go through the mail. Here, we have to have somebody deliver it. And if your local area doesn't have delivery, you're screwed. Some places will do free delivery within X amount of miles, but Usually those places are extremely expensive in the flower, so you're already almost paying for it within that flower. Have you noticed any? Is there delivery out here?
Yeah, I got delivery like as a medical patient. You can definitely get deliveries. I don't really know if they're doing deliveries for a rec. I know they have the drive-through at New Woo, so you can go through the weed drive-through. I know you guys saw that when you were here in town. Yeah, there's not really much as far as delivery.
It's funny. We got Sozo and Nobu or Nobo and all sorts of stupid names just like that in Michigan too. Like just
All clubs?
dumb names. It's like, oh, interesting. And all the buds mids too. Like, I don't know. It's weird. The place there, like I asked the lady, I'm like, what do you think is like the top tier stuff? And she's like, probably this one here. And she pointed it out. It was like $70 for an eighth. And I was looking at it. It looked just like super auto trimmed down to the point that the trichomes were cooked off of there and trimmed off. Tiny little nugs. And like it was in a bag flat. And I was like, you don't have smell bags? And she's like, oh, they shouldn't have any smell. And I was like, well, obviously. But no, I mean like a smell container, like a little something I can get an odor of it. Like I want to smell. Like, no, we quit doing that after COVID. It's like,
cost, right? It's cost money, right?
Because they're
have to
losing a
cycle
couple
that
grams.
buzz.
Yeah. I get that aspect, but it's like, would you rather have your bud sit on the shelf for 6 months and not go?
But it's almost like some of these guys don't want it in front of your eyes, man. They don't want it in front of your eyes because they got real nice labeling, right?
It's
like
the
the packaging looks good. They don't want you peeking on the inside, man. It's like you ever show up to a beautiful bar and you get in there and there's swamp donkeys everywhere. You're like, man, I got to get the hell out of here, man. They had a real nice sign out front, but this is not my type of jam.
Got me.
Yeah, man, that's what's happening.
Yeah,
and I think it's just because there's so much fucking money in it.
Yeah.
And they all say they're not making money. Like when we were down in Vegas, we went to the MJ Awards. Northern was nominated for the award. Top educator, right?
Baby.
Yep. And we're there, man, and they're talking about like
Award
the
nominated.
very first opening statement was like, we're not making any money. We're not making any money. There's so much damn money here, but the government's taking their cut, and these guys can't take it. And the only players that can really get in that game are the guys that have too much fucking damn money already. And they don't care about.
Well, they're real, like, a lot of these dudes are wanting a quick payback. They're wanting a 5-year or less plan, but they also have enough money to take over market share and churn and burn. But it's like, I've been behind the scenes. The ones who aren't making money are morons. There was a dude down here that I was talking to about how bad Michigan business owners were, and he was like, dude, that's just like my boss. Like, I was like, yeah, this is just the industry. From here to California, it's a rich dude, puffs e-cigs, pounds back the claws, no laws, will not smoke with you, will do a fucking line in the bathroom with you, does not care about the plant, and just wants to make profit. That's why they're not doing good. It's like, take a dude, bro, and have him make Victoria's Secret stuff. Like, let's see, our women's beauty products. And be like, all right, dude, like I've said it before, it's not going to be good.
Yeah.
Or have somebody who knows that kind of stuff and uses these products and is involved with this and educated in it to do it. And I don't understand how there's this disconnect that you know nothing about this industry, but you did manufacturing or sales or whatever, and now you're qualified to get into our community and our industry and serve us. That's the craziest, like, so disrespectful. You think we're just dumb stoners? You know, like, they'll take it. Just call it purple money rocks and they're all over it, man. And it's like, that's not the case because a lot of us educators online, or entertainers and just, you know, personalities will say, we've exposed a lot of this stuff. And people don't have to go waste money because we're like, nah, we went there, went to that store that you thought was cool, the big blue one, spilled it all on my legs. You've seen the Eppies. It's mids. There's so many mids places that are so hyped that people will travel from across the globe to be like, we got to make sure if you go on Planet 13, you make sure you go on Planet 13. It's like, it's a look. But trust me, I bought all the name brand stuff out there, spent $120 on mids. We gave it to homeless people. I lit up a blunt, Trey hit it once, was like, what? And handed it back to me, and we never smoked any more of it. When we were out here in Vegas, we gave it to the homeless. It was just mids, and this was like the top stuff, allegedly, you know?
I find us transferring too over throughout the solvent list and the solvents as well, man. Like in Vegas alone, man, have a good time trying to find some live rosin, man. It doesn't exist out here, and if it exists, man, it's poop, pure poop.
Really? I've gotten some carts with live rosin, and
carts might be a different game changer. We're talking dabs, but maybe carts are different, are they?
Yeah. Well, it's like, what I was gonna say is like 2 carts of live rosin and the rest distillate. You know what I mean? There's like 20 or 30. So it's gross.
Well, and plus, like, ugly live rosin or stuff that basically wouldn't make the cut is easy to put into carts. Like, second batch. You know, they'll decarb it and then they'll toss it into carts and throw it out there. And it's crazy to me because it's like stuff that when you dab it, it tastes like motor oil. And but then when you put it into a cart, somehow it's got a little bit of a something to it. I really feel like it's easier though. Again, Trojan horse and hiding it in another container just to get it to you. And the rosin game is still fire, especially legacy style. And then California being so close, you're gonna get some fire.
Valley, yeah.
You know, Oregon not too far in the aspect.
Well,
of
even
man,
when we
like-
were in LA, man, like Scrogger came to LA with me, man. We literally searched every single dispensary downtown. We probably went to 5 of them within the block radius and did not find any live rosin. Nothing, man. And even the live resin that we had, it was like poop too. It was just, it was difficult to really find good bud down there. And maybe it's because like the more you become a dialed in home grower, right? Like I'm starting to really get good at this. I'm getting a lot better. I'm becoming really, really proud of my flower, and I'm having the ability to consume a plant so perfectly cured because I'm following it through every step of the process. And then also there's that tie to it too, right? Like, I mean, you know how you just love your own kids?
Oh, yeah.
It's like, I'm going to do whatever it is to make that taste the best, man. And maybe that's what it is too. Maybe we're just a little bit hard on them, but
we are.
at the end of the day,
We are,
I
and that's
think
because we
everyone should
grow
just
our
be
own.
homegrown.
Yeah, right. I do believe we are hard on them because we critique everything, and then we compare them to the guy on the corner that we used to get herb from back in the day. And he used to cater to us. He would front us some. That was big. Dealers always had to front for me.
fronts.
Right.
I was on the other side. I was on the receiving side often. I was on the giving side.
Oh yeah, no, I was on the, I
You
was
learn
on,
not to front after a while.
yeah, and that's it. As somebody who relied on the legal system, if you fronted it to me, I'm coming back to you.
Yeah.
You know, you
You're a
you
good
hold me
man.
up. Of course, not everybody's willing to pay up at the end of that time either. But, yep, forgot what I was saying.
I think
We needed to smoke before this, fellas. That's what it was.
I think where you're headed too, man, is like it's true though. Like I think it's the process. though. I think one of the reasons, like we weren't picking apart
That's it.
the guys who were buying it from because they made us feel at home. They were a weed dude. They were one of us. They were part of the community, and I think that's the disconnect. Like when we walked into one of the biggest dispensaries in Vegas when we were down here, I was not impressed, man.
bummed, bro.
I wasn't impressed. I would have rather walked into a basement like we're sitting in right now,
Dark.
sat down with a buddy, show me what jars you got, let me sniff them, and I'm leaving happy. And to be honest with you, even if that bud's a little bit worse than the stuff that we bought at the dispensary, that guy's getting a better review because there's a connection with the plant, man. I think it's the way it's supposed to be done.
Yeah,
It's that extra love.
I've
We
Yeah,
talked
said
about
the
it.
same thing. I totally agree with what you just said in terms of this guy catering to us, being there for us. Whereas in the dispensary, particularly the one we went into in Vegas, the New Woo, it was all square footage.
It felt awkward.
I
in there,
walked
too.
into what felt like a gymnasium,
Yeah.
and there was just
I didn't even know they had any bud there though. Like I had to look. I was like, "Where's the dispensary?"
It just looked like counter space. And
Yeah.
then next thing I know, it's
Well, on
it's not-
display they just had flat packages. Like the branding was going to get me. I'm like,
Right. Yeah, and I asked this girl, I was like, okay. She's like, would you like a hand with anything? As I'm looking at these astronomical prices. I was like, no, I'm good. She's like, okay, well, when you're ready, I can show you where the cheap good stuff is. I was like, oh, okay. All right, show me where the cheap good stuff is. I could probably get you for like $40. I was like, oh, what's
Yeah.
like, give me something here, man.
yeah, like it's not just I want anything that's decent. Like I'm not that
Just
kind
cheap,
of smoker.
cheap. Oh, she's gonna pull something out and just be like, here, bag of stems.
Yeah, that's why I went and got. Luckily, we got some local people now. Shout out local people. But like I immediately was so unhappy that I was like, I'm not. I was looking through dispensaries online and I was like, oh my gosh, the prices everywhere. I thought it was just the fancy places that were expensive, like Hardin and Planet 13 and Reef, but no.
I think it's
everywhere.
overwhelming too for a consumer to go in there. It's almost like they got too fucking much.
Netflix effect.
You know what I mean?
Well,
Like,
a lot of people don't know what they go in there, they look at a menu, they see a name, a strain name, then they see an S or an I, a sativa for sativa or indica, then they see a price. That's what they're basing their purchase off. That's
Yep.
it.
Words.
It's the only information, right?
Yep.
Now, luckily, they do have, similar to Canada, they do have the terpenes on the back, which is pretty nice. But they don't show any of that stuff like on the menu, or so you have no idea like what you're getting. You're basing your purchase off a name, and you have no idea what that name.
Those
could
menus
be.
are spreadsheets.
yeah, right.
It's not like there's even a picture of the bud. It's just word, like lines, and you're just like, I didn't come here to read. It's like I'm getting a lesson of some sorts. But yeah, it definitely needs to be figured out better. And I understand, though, you can't always put the product out all the time because it goes bad. Then you got to do more product. And how often do you turn that? Or you're just using it as window shopping bud? Or do you actually want to retain its terpenes and sell it for something? We never had that problem back in the day because, your buddy would pull out a bag and he'd be like, here.
It'd be gone in a few days, and he'd usually be like,
here.
check this shit.
Yeah.
The sale was never the THC or anything. It was always get a whiff. It was always that. Like,
And you
smell that. And it was like, whoo,
And you're right in
damn,
terms of, too, like, if that herb wasn't as good, I have a relationship and a reputation with this guy that most of the time he would probably tell me that. Yo, bud, you got any herb? He's like, bro, I do. But it sucks, man. It's not the best. So I'll probably give you maybe a little D on the price, and you can handle it from there. And I'd be like, bro, I could decide right there and then. Am I going to go with it or am I not? Most of the time you went with it. And, next time you come back, he's like, bro, now I've got that fire. Here's a couple extra nugs.
You got to help them work through it. I used to tell people, help me work through this. Get rid of it for me.
That's right, yeah.
So we can get better, guys. What do you think?
Stuff.
Don't just let me sit on this.
Right.
Like,
right.
let's run out of it.
I sit on it, you're sitting on it too. We're
Exactly.
It's a lot of this shit's just process driven too. It's like I don't understand why they don't implement even certain things. Like why are you not taking photos of these at least?
Yeah, let me
Show
look at the
people,
pictures
like,
on
you know what I
display.
mean?
Right.
Yeah.
At least that. Like my best purchasing experience, to go back to the online thing, like you guys can't purchase online. I'd rather purchase online. There's a few online shops you can purchase on in bulk, small. I mean, you can get bulk friggin' rosin if you want from these guys. But the cool thing about it is, man, there's real people in the reviews that are telling you if it's fire. They're telling you if it's mids. And even the guys that own the company, they'll let you know in the description, like this one's mids or this isn't as good as the last batch. And they got it down to a science like that way. It feels a lot more walking into the house, man, sitting down. It'd be nice to see a company do that. Build a damn house, set up every room, put a damn worker in there, put 4 jars, give us 4 options. We don't need 400. Yeah, absolutely. Let me sniff them. Send me out, man.
Set you up with a lounge that you could smoke at.
Yeah, these people
outside.
call these fucking lounges out here.
Outside, though.
Oh man, do you guys remember
What
that
kind of
new
lounge is that? You're going to lounge outside in the cold?
outside in the cold? when there's
That's called smoking
nobody there.
outside.
Yeah,
That's not a lounge.
That's-
Well,
That's
and then their lounge itself, man. Like
you're at the beach.
You need it for a lounge. You should be able to put your arm up and lounge. These guys had damn wrestling chairs, man. Folded wrestling
picnic
black
tables.
chairs that Hulk Hogan was slamming over Jake the Roberts' back in '85.
Jake the Snake
I mean, come on
Roberts.
now. I seen people up there sitting like this, sharing a joint, passing back and forth. It's like, this isn't what we're doing, man. We're doing this. You guys seen us? We got that tent set up.
Oh,
We're
dude, the
enjoying-
VIP ACI
Yeah, man.
tent.
That's what we need to get to, but I don't think it's ever really going to get there.
I think it's the micro stuff. It's the small events. It's the small companies. It's the craft growers. There's places I've been to in Michigan that have absolute fire, like stuff that I've been like, man, that's better than mine. Like, wow. But good luck to find it. It's in a few places. They have a grow like the size of the AC house, and it's expensive. Like you're paying top dollar for it, but it's killer. It's really, really good. But that's like one of 50.
Do you think it's ever going to get to the point where, like, I go to the market, man, and pick up salsa from this old lady, Jane, and she's a sweetheart. I fucking love her salsa. If you're watching, I'm coming Sunday. Sunday flea market, man. Like, do you think it's going to get to that point where you can bring, like, 15, 20 jars to a flea market and hook people up?
Yep.
Like, I hope so.
I think once
so.
we get to the psilocybin transition, which is going to happen, it's going to come sooner than later, where this taboo thing that we have now that's being less stigmatized, it'll be the organies. You know what I'm saying? I think that's where we're going. I think then people won't care as much about bud. But I think right now this is the hot shit. This is the taboo. This is the, ooh, don't do it. Keep it away from the kids. But eventually kids won't care. Like, I don't care. Like,
We made our way through prohibition. I do think we'll get our way through this. It's just a matter of time to get the process out, get those that are heavy and maybe justified. Those that are heavy on the nay. And I think there's valid arguments to why you shouldn't have these lounges and this access. Now, whether I believe in it is a different story. But I do believe we'll get to a point where we get through all the stigma. No, children aren't getting incredibly high at rates so much more than they were pre-legalization. People aren't turning into murderers and whatever, right? So I do think there will be a time when the people have had enough. And if it wasn't, then the online wouldn't exist. Because everybody would be like, no, I like what's going on over here. But it's no, we don't. So that's why the legacy market is so powerful still. Because they are still offering that experience. They are. It is being done, just not by our legal system.
Yeah, man.
I do think it'll change. I do. And it's because I'm optimistic in that, eventually I do believe that and our culture will be the ones that runs this industry. With the help of suits, of course, for a little bit of money.
Well, all it's going to take is for them to see it's not profitable, and then it disappears, like we see with NJBizCon. And then you go into there, and us who are like, oh, are you a moron? Like, all you had to do was X, Y, Z, and then boom, to the moon, baby. Because people buy products, and how you're not profitable, don't have a $20 million square foot facility, and you can't grow bud or sell it. Because that's really what I'm seeing more people do. $20 million building, 30,000 plus square foot facility, and you couldn't move the bud to save your life. And if you could, it's mids. It's a short-term, short sale.
Throughout this whole trip that we were down here, I mean, look how many spots you can pop in, grab a 12-pack of beer in seconds, and walk
every
out,
corner.
We go to the dispensary.
We Ubered at 3-something in the morning
ID
to go get it.
Then I had to wait. Like, when I went to the dispensary, I had to show ID. Then I had to order my stuff. I ordered Mac. For some reason, they gave me Rose. Then I had to wait another 25 minutes for them to give it to me.
Wow.
They had to call me out. Then I had to keep it inside of a bag, that inside of a jar, inside of a bag. And I couldn't take it out of that until I went out to the so-called lounge area outside. And the security guard was, like, very strict on this. Like, I even tried to take it out to look at this stuff because I just purchased for
how dare
$60, almost $100 Canadian. I'm like, this better get me.
Didn't even look at it.
Yeah, this better blow me. Like, come on now.
Twice.
Well,
Yeah,
I looked at the container. It's a total of 2.5 grams of flour.
yeah, dude.
For $60.
It's wild.
And this is why there's company like the Steezy brand and or Stizzy, whatever
That's
the hell
exactly
they
what
are,
it was.
and Burner and all these brands that like look huge. I said it, I don't care. Just cash crop. It's like, how are you okay with charging this kind of money for mid-grade bud, but then also are the biggest brand in the world, like Uber's money, $1 billion company? Well, because they have no problem selling dog shit to their customers in a pretty package. Like, I don't like any
give
of
them
them.
credit because they found the way to sell.
they'll rip people. I used to
inside
have
of
cash
the
crop.
selling opportunity.
Look, I used to have cash crop dudes, the McGum Money team, you know who you are, completely ruined the Michigan market for caregivers because they were selling mids that was less money than everybody else's. They were putting everybody on, and they were finding the market. They were squaring, like taking over the whole market. And then somebody would come to me and be like, why am I going to pay $50 to $100 more? I'm like, this is way better. Well, they don't care. They're not a connoisseur. So the masses are totally cool with Bud Light and the mid stuff, you know, as where I'm like, nah, I won't do that. But then also, then my stuff will sit there and get old and be just like their mids. And then they'll be like, well, see, why would I pay this price? It's like, well, it wasn't mids before, but you waited forever to get it. But the price point holds you out of the market. So it's like, until we find that good medium of good priced, good quality, we're going to have the best stuff sitting on the shelf and turning into trash and blending right in with the trash. Because that's what's happening right now, at least down here in Vegas.
Well, they don't even let the growers go in, at least in Canada. So, like, let's say Mr. Growett's got a brand new cultivar he launches called Chill Out OG and it hits the market.
That'd be crazy.
Wouldn't that be crazy? That's probably going to happen
I think
someday,
so.
actually.
Whoa.
Depending on when you're watching this.
That'd be crazy.
I can't wait to get my hands on some of that, actually. But what I'm trying to say is, like, he puts this into the dispensary in Canada, okay? At least in my province. He puts this in. It shows up in a box. They pull the product out of the box. They look at it. They put it on the shelf. And they're in these, like, bins, man, like plastic bins you pick up at the dollar store, right? They're on the shelf. You can physically see them. You can't even pick up that package, number one. And number two, he can't go in there and educate them and let them smoke his product. He can just go in there and tell them about it just the same way he would tell me about it. So it's THC, it's terpenes, it's how long you cured it for, what the cultivar was, blah, 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 blah. And then that gets translated, and then all that shit gets lost. And the dude sitting behind the counter is now selling this premium product because it's 22% THC or 23% THC, and they know nothing else about it, man.
Yep.
And the customer or the consumer is the only one that's really losing. And they won't even allow him to even come and educate anybody else because of this advertisement.
Yeah.
So they're handcuffed, man.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. We need to find that balance between Canada and America and get that, like...
Not only just everything, man. I mean,
life.
we're the weirdest creature in the world, man. And
well,
we're all the exact same, man. And it should be
got
illegal
Canadians.
fucking
Wisconsin
word.
exists though.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
It does,
they're getting internet this year too.
Yeah, they're going to get an internet this year. That's awesome.
Starlink. Shout out Starlink.
I would just like to see it. Like, just open this damn up, man. Quit wasting time on it. Like, we got so much other shit to worry about, man. It's a fucking plant.
Yeah.
Well, it's crazy that like there could literally be one or two people with enough impact and enough power and control that all they got to do is push and lobby against their friends who are in power and say no, and they've got that much pull. I mean, it could literally be one person. We saw hanging out in the old mob room over there at the Golden Steer, like the amount of power of people who just decided to take over things. It still happens in today's day and age. It's just with money and influence, you know? So it's like those are the reasons why I feel we as consumers need to keep having people learn how to grow to be good consumers. So that way if they do have to go and spend, they're educated consumers. Because right now they just don't know.
And without telling people to do anything illegal, if you quit supporting the dispensary, you know, there's going to be change because the ones that you aren't supporting are probably no good to begin with. So find one that's good or, you know, of course, I don't want to say support the legacy market, so I won't.
Figure alternatives. We'll just say figure alternatives, especially if you're in Canada.
Right.
You know,
Right.
you got your mom.
You got your mom.
You got your mom.
That's a mail order. Mm.
Well, that being said, I want to smoke.
Yeah, I would love to.
And I want to go out there and tell
Yeah,
people.
I
Joe,
want to smoke some
Joe,
of this
seriously,
fucking...
bro,
dude.
Yes.
like the last couple months, being in Vegas and stuff was absolutely amazing. This was like an incredible experience, and I'm glad you were able to fly back out for this podcast.
Just for this one.
Just for this podcast.
for this one.
And it means a lot. It means a lot, man. Everybody knows where you are, but you want to let them real quick? Where are you?
can
Where
you
can they
find
find you?
Grow
Yeah,
Joe,
guys,
Grow some
check
Joes.
me out, Basement Grow Show on YouTube and Instagram. And thank you guys, man. I remember a long, long time ago, man, when I just got started in this. And you guys were the boys I wanted to fucking hook up with. I remember making a fucking hilarious video just to grab your guys' attention. And then
It worked.
the rest is
worked.
history, boys.
It
And
literally just
Now I'm hot. Hoes all on me.
yeah, man. And I think, like, at the end of the day, like, we're always going to have shit about. But it's pretty damn great that we even get to smoke this plant, man.
Yeah.
Because our parents before were fucking hiding it for years, and now we get to share with buddies. And there's like family members that we wouldn't be able to tell that we smoked weed, man. So that's something that really
We
just
got these
kinda
Canadian
think about.
boys who are able to smoke some fire outdoor Humboldt grown herb. How often from
Never.
Eric Mudchaz and the
Never.
crew? Like, man,
We have
so-
BC buds, so seeing stuff from Humboldt just wouldn't even really make sense.
That's
Like
what I'm
our
saying.
BC bud is like the downgraded of Humboldt.
Yeah.
Dollar store Humboldt.
Yeah, it'd be
Dollar
like,
General.
Dollar General Humboldt.
it'd be like Grey Goose and Kirkland. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
You might not. You close your eyes. You might not know the difference.
There's a few of them out there, but the problem is there's so much, right?
Yeah, mid game.
Everybody wants to
Mid-boys.
get a piece, right?
Big boys.
Well, that
appreciate
being
you
said,
guys having me on.
We'll definitely do it again.
Absolute
Soon.
pleasure.
Yeah,
It's been unbelievable.
We'll do it
You
again,
guys are
man.
phenomenal. We'll
And
do
we
this
want to know
again.
from the audience too. I mean, you know, Canada versus U.S. What do we miss?
And who's
You know?
and in your opinion,
better?
Who's better?
Who's better?
Because
Us
Canada,
or them?
we're bigger and we're on top. If we were in jail, you'd be our bitch. Thanks, guys.
That is true, but we're power bottom. Peace.